Yo, yo, get up, nah I ain't a quitter. Toss me the ball, I'm a really big hitter. Big picture, I'm a straight killer. Rising the song to the highest bidder. Got juice, got gas, I'ma move fast. New shoes, new tracks, like who's that? I'm new, come back, better than last. Yeah, it's a new me, never gonna look back. Never gonna look back. Cause damn, I was built to last. You move slow and I move fast. And that's facts.
Yo, Bears Nation, what's good? I'm Trax, your host of the most, and we're kicking off this deep dive into the 2025 Chicago Bears offense that's got everybody buzzing and talking about it. Caleb Williams coming off a solid rookie year, 3,541 passing yards, 20 touchdowns, and just 6 picks, plus 489 ground pound rushing yards. Ryan Poles crushed the draft with Colston Loveland at pick number 10 and Luther Burden the third at 39. ESPN ranks our skill positions top 6 last year, jumping from 17th. Wow. And now with Ben Johnson as head coach, this squad is prime to explode, baby. But let's not waste any time. I'm sitting here with the true Bears icon, the soul of the 46 defense, number 46 himself, Doug Plank.
Always a pleasure to be on your show. I can't wait.
Yeah, buddy. Hey, Doug, man, thank you so much for showing up and showing out, man. Welcome to the show. You're the star today. Bears fans want to hear your wisdom on this new era right off the bat, man. And let me tell you something. We got another special guest in the building. Last but not least, Dennis Lindley from Fork U Tailgating Club, Chicago Bears Tailgating Club. This guy is up there serving the bar, everything, alcoholic, non-alcoholic, anything you guys want. He even takes guys like Doug, the Chicago Bears alum, up to the back right there. He's got a real nice big board and they sign it, and he donates money to a charity of their choice or whatever else, floats their boat, man. Great guy. So glad to have Dennis. Is a lifetime Chicago Bear fan. And Dennis, welcome to the show, bro. First time.
Thanks, Brandon. Thanks for having me.
You're making a lot of people at home thirsty, brother. A lot of people at home. I mean, seriously, from the alcoholic to non-alcoholic, you got the juices there, you got the sodas, you got it all for everybody, man. PBR on tap, High Life for all those that want to be what's the old saying from Miller High Life? The champagne of beers. That's right.
Champagne of beers. You got it.
That's right. We got champagne in the building. So listen, guys, right off the bat, Doug and Dennis, we'll call it the Double D show. Dan Graziano's calling Loveland the dark horse breakout after seeing him dominate camp, man. This guy is 6'5", 245 pounds, ran a 4.65 40. That's pretty fast for a guy that big, I'll tell you what. And in 2024, Michigan, 56 catches, 582 yards in 10 games. And I'm going to tell you guys something. You guys know right off the rip, that is a run-first type offense, okay? That is all coming from the Harbaugh regime. That's the blueprint over there. So you guys already know what's going on there. Run first, run first. So, but here's the deal. He showed up big when he needed to. His hands were ready and it's steady, and this guy is good, man. But what stands out about you, Doug and Dennis? I'll start off with Doug. About Loveland that makes him Caleb's potential secret weapon. I mean, we already have Cole Kmet in the building, but now you got another tight end. Have you ever been in a situation as a coach or as a former player where you had 2 tight ends and it just made other defenses have nightmares? Or did it give you nightmares as a safety, number 46 yourself?
Well, I think anytime you see something that's not normal, like 2 tight ends. Now, I know in certain situations, short yardage, in NFL, college, high school, you have two tight ends, because it's the run. It's going to be a running play. It's probably going to be between the tackles or even maybe outside. But when you get two big tight ends there, if they can block and catch, they're like deadly. I mean, they can attack any defense. And a lot of times too, when you're on offense, either in high school, college, you're pretending to maybe do something that you don't want to do. Like, if it's a pass, you'll maybe initially touch somebody or act like you're pushing them, but then you go run your route. And there's so many times that in my role as free safety from the Chicago Bears, I would always try to watch the tight end, because a lot of times they told you right away whether it was going to be a run or pass. If it was a passing play, they had their hands forward and they were coming across the line of scrimmage. If it was going to be a running play, they would just maybe lean backwards or lean right or lean left. So all these little things. That's why I loved looking at the games, opponents we were getting ready to play with end zone cameras, because that is how a safety sees the game. An end zone, it's an end zone, and it's up there in those right behind those scoreboards or down in the end zone, and you see the splits, the personnel, the down and distance, the field position, and I just think that so many times teams, just by bringing in players in certain situations, you almost know what the play is going to be.
Okay, yeah, I see what you're saying. And that brings up a good point, because you could show a lot about what you're doing before you actually do it. Just by seeing, your job, Doug, is to be the mirror image of what's going on. Okay, I see what you're showing me. Now it's your job to make things, and this is what Ben Johnson says, and I'm looking forward to see if it actually works out. I know it did with the Detroit Lions, but he says he wants to make the same thing look different. And to my knowledge, there was several coaches that went on record. Most notably, I'm trying to think of his name, longtime Jets coach, very good coach, man. And I think he was Bill Parcells. That guy right there, he says when you give that two tight end set, the 12, he goes, you don't know if you got to keep that tight end accountable. So you're going to put a linebacker out there. So you put a linebacker out there, guess what? I'm putting him in motion, and now I've got a mismatch. You don't know if I'm running or passing. So I could just terrorize you with this type or offense. He really likes it. So I'm excited to see what we can do out of it. Now, I will say this. I think it's about 35% of the time the Lions use that. Now, a lot of people will say, why do you go out and get a guy that you're only going to put him into 35% of the packages? Who's to say that you are going to limit him to just the 12 package? Maybe you put him in the 11. Who knows? You could put him in multiple positions. You could put him in at fullback, H-back, whatever. I like this guy's versatility. We'll see what happens. What about you, Dennis? What do you see here, man, as far as his secret weapon?
When I saw the pick made,
yeah,
I know Ryan Poles made the pick, but I think it was Ben Johnson who said, "This is who I want." And,
yes,
he can block at the line of scrimmage, block downfield.
Yeah,
secret weapon.
I like that.
Lots of versatility.
And you know what? I'm going to tell you straight up, I was not happy with it. I was a little disgruntled. I'm not going to lie. I was a little disgruntled, okay? I wanted a left tackle, but, that's, nepotism there, because I was a left tackle. So I want a left tackle, And when I watch these shows with Jim Miller and Doug, you and I will be watching some, we'll do some live shows together, analysis, play-by-play. Brandon, there's more to the field than just the line, right? But he loves it. He loves it because he gets to see something that, a different look. Okay. It's just amazing what guys like Doug and Jim and these guys can see. Like it's amazing, really. The students of the game that have been doing it for, decades and had a decade of dominance or two, but Doug, boom, right there, man. That's the insight that I needed, bro. Love how you broke down the versatility. Same with you, Dennis. But Doug, fans, if you're just tuning in, Loveland's not just a receiver. He's got elite hands, low drop rate. That's important. That's very important to have a low drop rate, right? Exploits zones like a vet and blocks with grit. PFF, their analytics had him at a 88.5 receiving grade. 88.5 for receiving. That's pretty darn good as a tight end,
Absolutely.
in my opinion. Graziano's hyping him as a camp star, saying he's ahead of schedule in the offense. Doug, let's build on that. How do you see Loveland fitting with Cole Kmet in 2 tight end sets? Could that open up mismatches and help Caleb when defenses blitz? I mean, do you think like that could be a potential check down receiver? What do you see there, brother?
You know what? When you have 2 tight ends that can not only catch the ball, but they can block, I mean, now you've got an incredible weapon. I'm sorry. I've never seen a safety run over a tight end. Tight ends are athletic. They're physical. They can catch. They can run. They're tough guys. They're used to getting hit, going across the middle. They're hit by linebackers, safeties. They're the transition. And you think about it. Go back to your childhood. What offense did you ever really appreciate or long for that didn't have a great tight end? I mean, I can't even think of an offense right now that didn't somewhere have a tight end in their scheme that you could just count on him. Kansas City, Raiders, Jets, whatever it is, there was always a stud tight end that could block on running plays. He can make tough catches. He can run over linebackers, run over safeties. It's such a critical position. And you start looking at teams that are not successful, they mostly either don't have a tight end or their tight end needs to be put on the waiver wire.
Sure.
He can't block. He can't catch.
Yeah.
The other thing is I never liked playing against a real emotional tight end, a guy that was just all fired up, would jump up off the ground, run back to the huddle. No, I wanted somebody that was limping back to the huddle. That said, "Oh man, why did you hit me that hard?" The Dave Caspers of the world back when I was playing safety for the Chicago Bears, guys that never said much, man, they just performed. They came out, they blocked down on tackles, they ran over safeties. They were just there. They were there, and you knew they were there, and they were big targets also for the quarterback. I mean, you don't see very many tight ends having the ball overthrown. These guys are big. They can jump. I just think it's a transition. It's almost like their importance of the linebackers to the defense. They're not a lineman. They're not maybe a receiver. They're that transitional player that can do everything. He can block. He can catch. He can run over people. And there's only a few people like that on that team. And that's why I think I don't say it starts with the tight end. It starts with the quarterback, I believe. But you can put the tight end right behind it.
Man, I'll tell you what, you're painting a picture and I got goosebumps right now. But here's the deal, Dennis. I do know that both Cole Kmet, he's had a lot of critics, on him, a lot of criticism. He can catch the ball at times. Well, he can block above average, I would say. And he's an all around good tight end. Now, Loveland, it has not really been known for blocking well to the Cole Kmet level, not to say both these gentlemen are elite, at any one thing in particular. However, I will say this, Dennis, do you think that each one of them has different intangibles and they could potentially learn from each other and grow in those various sectors that they might be lacking? Do you think that might be exactly what we're looking here? Because I feel like we might be onto something, if that makes any sense, Dennis.
Yeah, and I think we got the right coach to get the most out of each guy. And like you said, for them to be in the same room together, film study together, right. They're going to feed off each other. And I think they're both going to be good blockers. And I think they're going to be that safety net for Caleb Williams if the pocket collapses, he just dumps it right to him and big hands, 50-50 balls easy. get them out of some tough spots.
I love that, man. I mean, Doug, they had the Bears had Emery Moorhead and then Tim Reitman. That talk about a nightmare, man. Those two guys, right? That's ridiculous. But now you've got something over here. At one point we had the Greg Olson. There really wasn't a whole lot of like great tight ends. We had a few, obviously, way back in the day. But and then the Olsen, and they traded him off for peanuts. But I know in today's NFL, the way things are going, this is important to have. And we're talking right now with Mr. Doug Plank, great legend, Chicago Bear. My question to you is, Doug, I know you had somebody right beside you, very good safety also. Do you feel like with Gary and you both had different traits, different weapons, and iron sharpens iron? Looking at that and looking at these tight ends, is there something that you could share with us that might help us understand better how these two gentlemen can complement each other? Because when we first had this draft, Doug, everybody was worried about Cole Kmet getting his walking papers.
Mhm.
It was like, I just can't imagine, Doug Plank, and Fenzik, like, no, it's like peanut butter and jelly, dude. I mean, it's awesome. Like, how dare you, make me choose between peanut butter or jelly? I mean, you're going to get throw punch if you take one of those away from me. Okay. I'm just saying right now, I love both of those. You slide in a chopped up banana and a cold glass of milk, we're cooking, baby, But Doug, seriously, to get back on track, since I took you off track, is there something that you could share with us that you two gentlemen were helping each other out with?
Well, let me just say this. When you have the same position,
Yeah.
you're basically doing the same things as the other tight end, other safety, other cornerback. So you're already have the same language. Describing what we're attacking, whether it be receivers, tight ends, running backs. And you're right. I had a tremendous relationship with Gary Fensick, the other strong safety.
Yeah.
And him and I would just look at each other, and even just a few fingers, basically, we were communicating without even talking. Just through hand signals, because sometimes you can't hear each other in games with the spectators. And a lot of times it was, like I said, it was just so loud. I would look over at Gary, he would turn to me and give me some kind of a sign.
Wow.
And it might be automatic front coverage, which basically meant we automatically, whatever the call was in the huddle, that was overrun with, if we want automatic front coverage, that was the check off, the coverage, the blitz, the coverage that we were going to run on that play based on down and distance, field position, and a whole bunch of other things. But you need that communication. I don't think you can have a smart team right now, or not have a smart team and be successful. Because the days of the players that could barely talk, you couldn't hear them, or they couldn't give you a signal, those days are done. Everything's a communication now. Call it artificial intelligence, whatever you want to call it. It's that communication on the line of scrimmage, in the back, secondary, linebackers. It's tremendous. And, I just think, watching, just watching some of the games, I really believe that the Chicago Bears are going to be on a different level this year in terms of their effort, their execution, their consistency. And it's something we haven't seen the last few years. And it's been hard being a Chicago Bear, watching that performance.
Oh my gosh.
I knew they were so much better than what we were looking at.
Yeah, I mean, Dennis, even as a fan, right? It's been rough. Good for your type of business, but because you need a little.
I'm hoping they can clean up the pre-snap penalties and just look more professional, like know what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, and let's talk. I like that. Sometimes you gotta jump off track a little bit to unpack some good nuggets of the day, and I think Dennis has given us a good nugget of the day, because I know Doug could definitely speak with this. Your former defensive coach, talk a little bit about something when there was an error. Dennis just mentioned that, pre-snap penalties, all this kind of stuff. Take us into the world of Buddy. What would happen if you caused, 15 yards, 5 yards, whatever it may be? How does one error and correction on right in that moment, instead of waiting till halftime or after the game? I feel like this is where Ben, and Dennis is coming from. I really feel like this is what we've got here in our defensive coordinator, Dennis Allen. So could you walk through, and Ben Johnson, could you walk us through what that was like, Doug? Because it's been, I don't know if we've seen it. Seriously, maybe Lovey was the last time, but it's not to the level you saw it personally on the field.
You know what? Let me just say this about Buddy. I mean, Buddy was he was an Army sergeant, and that's the way he acted.
Yeah.
Not 100% of the time, about 80% of the time.
Sure.
So it was, and everything was very callous. Your name was never mentioned. The only way he referred to you was the jersey number on your jersey. Mine was 46. So if he was talking to me at any of the meetings, whenever he got here to the day he left, 46, 46, 46, this 46, this 46, that, good, bad, ugly. He never used names. So it was not personal. It was not personal at all. It was all strictly, this is your job. This is your expectations.
Okay.
And Buddy was very good at watching this film. We would all watch it together. Linebackers, safeties, quarterbacks, defensive linemen. And we would start at the line of scrimmage and he would just go backwards. Linebackers, defensive backs. Right. And he would start talking about, and you got to remember, there's other coaches in this meeting room also. There's a defensive backfield coach, a linebacker coach, a defensive line coach. So the Buddy was the most important message, because he would call you out when you were watching this film. Number one, if you didn't do your job, if you made a mental mistake, you didn't have enough effort. And there was 3 words that he used. We call it the triple crown. And it was a dumb donkey, horse manure, and blew your mind. Well, there were some other words that were substituted on that, so you don't have to use any imagination.
Thank you.
That would be his corrections. That was it.
Right.
In other words, if you were in that meeting for the first time and you heard you were a dumb donkey, horse manure, and blew your mind, you didn't know what it was. You had to wait until the meeting was over and talk to your position coach and say, on this play, on the 3rd down and 7, we didn't make the 1st down, and Buddy told me I was dumb donkey, horse manure, and blew my mind.
Yeah.
And the position coach would then tell you what you did wrong.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was an unusual thing. Here's my point. When you are being criticized or congratulated in front of other players, means everything.
Yeah.
I mean, to say 46, that was an awesome play. Yeah. Great effort. Way to get your ASS off the ground and go make the tackle, force the fumble, make the interception. Everybody in the room's going, yeah, thanks, Doug. Thanks, Doug. I mean, it was like some energy that you felt come over your body, like, I want to do this every play.
Yeah.
I want it, instead of the triple crown, I want to get Buddy Ryan to say, good job, Doug.
Yeah.
I remember sometimes even getting knocked down on the ground, blocked during a play, coming up trying to make a tackle. And I'm thinking, as I hit the ground, how is this going to look on Monday morning film session when we're going over this game? I would jump up to the ground right away. I mean, I used to practice this in practice, getting knocked down, just doing a roll, just duck my head, boom, I'm on my feet again. And it's not a crime to get knocked down, but it's a crime to stay down. That's the way Benny looked at it. So you better give everything you've got until that start of that, when that play starts, until you hear a whistle. If you don't hear a whistle, I just trained myself. People go, you were a late hitter, you were this, you were that. No, I didn't hear the whistle.
Right.
Gary Fensick and I were the least penalized players on that team, on the defense, as far as penalties go. I would go through years without even getting one penalty. Now, how could I be such a terrible player, cheap shotter, late hit, whatever? I'm the least penalized. And maybe that was the rules back then. But my point is, you start building up a relationship with all the other players on the team, and you're going to do everything you can to protect them. If there was a sweep, I would always appreciate Gary. Gary would come up and force that sweep and always turn it into me. What do I mean by that? He would come so hard from the outside, he would lay out the blocker, or he would just set a pile of bodies right there that the running back had no choice. He had to go inside. And I was sitting right there. I would always attack those running plays around the end from the inside out.
Wow.
Which he attacked them from the outside in. So until you get those things working on a team, you can't have a bunch of individuals out there that are just playing for themselves, because they're not in coordination with anybody else. And that's where your coaches come in and have a responsibility. And most importantly, I think, when you hit that field, you got to be ready to play for 60 minutes. 59 is not enough. How many times have we seen teams that were ahead a whole game get to the end of the game and the other guy beats them? They march the ball right down the field. 60 minutes, man.
Yeah.
How you start, how you finish a game.
Oh man, and there's so many times too where you see people loose, let loose and loosen up, and let people play from behind and get the prevent defense that prevents you from winning. All these sort of different things, it's just ridiculous. And I like what the picture that you gave us there, because it helps us understand that it's good to have more than one person at that position. And we're not really used to that here in Chicago. It's nice to have two tight ends that are going to do a good job, and I think there's plenty of room for them on the field. But shifting to the wide receiver room, ESPN's got him at a top unit heading into 2025. DJ Moore's the anchor, obviously. Another beast year with 96 grabs, 1,364 yards, 8 touchdowns. Odunze flashed as a rookie, over 1,000 yards at 6'3", and now you got to add Luther Burden, the third, to a dynamic slot guy from Missouri with agility and yards after catch toughness, depth with Olamide Zacchaeus, speed with Jade Walker, his size, and Devin Duvernay's gadgets, man. Dennis and Doug. Doug, with your defensive eye, Doug, how does this loaded group, ranked number 7th now by ESPN, mesh with Loveland to make life hell for coordinators? Like, how do you've got so many mouths to feed. How is it even possible, Doug, to make this all work?
Well, I mean, you can't have everybody as a bonus, baby. You can't have everybody making, I don't want to say even, I used to say millions. Now millions are now thousands. Making, many very rich. You could be very, very rich in 1 year payment now in the National Football League. The bottom line is it isn't about money. It's about when you step on that field. I guarantee you're not thinking, how much is that guy making? How much is this guy making? How much am I making? No, you're out there trying to think, how can I get my job done? How can I do it, execute it, and be fulfilling the responsibility that I had as a player to go ahead and tackle people, to make coverages are concerned. And so it's a whole big picture, Brandon. We talked about this before. It isn't about a one-man show. No, there's no Superman on, even the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, there's so many players, good players on that team. And good players make other players look good, get open. Their quarterback, he can run, he can throw and stuff. Look at the receivers he's throwing to. I mean, these guys are getting open. They got a great tight end, and they can run the ball, they can pass it. And let me just say this too. When you're a defensive player, it's so demoralizing to be on a team where the offense doesn't score a lot of points, because every time you go out there on the field as a defensive player, we were always like we were behind, or if we had the lead, it was a small lead,
Sure.
generally.
Yeah.
I'd say 90% of the time.
Right.
If you made just one mistake in that game, it could cost you the game.
Wow.
Now, the better teams get at the line of scrimmage on offense and defense, the more they can score points, the more aggressive the defense can be. Do you think if you're starting to go ahead 14, 21 points in one half, the other team is going to do the same thing? They're going to try to get back in the game. They're going to try to do that by passing, big plays. So when you start running plays like that, putting a quarterback back in the pocket, trying to throw the ball, catch balls, you know what? You're exposing everybody else to hits, turnovers. That's what good teams do. And bad teams allow the other team to go ahead and score, or 3 and out by your offense. It's demoralizing. It's demoralizing because no matter how well you could play defensively, you can't win games without points on the board. So this is so much a team sport. Both offense and defense have to contribute equally. And, it's just, based on, if we were a high scoring team, I'm telling you, I would have been twice as aggressive as I normally was, because I can figure if I do something and it doesn't work and they go for a touchdown, it's not going to be the game. It's not going to be the game.
I love that. That's huge. That's epic. That's so not, again, I hate saying this, but it keeps happening. It's something we're just not used to. You get all those points.
I know.
You get all those points on the board, and that just makes your defense cut loose. I mean, look at the Colts, man. Back with the Peyton Manning era, the sheriff. Oh my gosh, this guy. You look at him throwing all those touchdowns. Dwight Freeney, Robert Mathis, all those guys could just cut loose and come on after, because playing from behind, they're going to throw the ball. So, hey, I don't have to worry about, part of this offense too much, So, yeah, like I said, man, this is straight fire. Doug, you're a legend, dropping gems, man. And Bears fans, this is why we love Doug coming on. Dennis, we have a question for you from Peter Hallis. He says, is Dennis tailgating open to all?
Absolutely. Come on. From the Bears fans, opposing teams, we've had people from 12 different countries, all 50 states, all 32 teams. So yeah, everybody's welcome, fun, family friendly. It's a good time.
Yeah, tell them where it's at. It's on Wabash, right? 2200.
2200 South Wabash, 22nd and Wabash.
Yep.
You can find us at forkutailgating.com or through Tailgreeter, or search Chicago Bears Tailgating Club. There's 7 different clubs inside our private lot, and we have a good time every home game.
It's huge, man. It's funny because everybody always asks for, a couple landmarks or whatever. If they ever move that White Castles, I'm in trouble. It's right by the White Castles. So, but yeah, man. So is there anything you want to add to that, Dennis, that we just unpacked there, that Doug, what he had to say?
Well, like you said, it's things we're not used to. I've played fantasy football for years, and sometimes there's not one Chicago Bear I want on my team, and now there's 4 or 5 guys I would love to have on my fantasy football team.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, man. And they're going to be. I mean, what time is that lot open? Because you got that game at 7:00 at night. I mean, we were just talking about, Doug and I was just talking about this, like. We're not used to opening night being on Monday Night Football. A premium game. If you're not on premium and you're at noon on Sunday, chances are you suck, and they think you're going to suck, But they're saying this is a big statement for us to be on Monday night, Doug and Dennis. We're supposed to be pretty good, So, Dennis, what time do people come in that lot on a Monday night?
To keep it simple, for noon games, we start at 6 in the morning.
Yeah.
For 3 o'clock games, we start at 6:15 in the morning. And for night games, we start at 6:30 in the morning.
Wow.
So we'll be out there at 6:30 on Monday morning, ready to go.
You get a little extra on the night game, apparently.
Oh, yeah. It's
got a fire hose to hit people up around noon, and 3 o'clock to roll them over, so they're not cooked on one side.
You definitely have to pace yourself.
Yeah, for sure. Trump wants to know, have the Bears announced the official depth? I will depth chart. I know he meant depth. So from what I understand from Ben, he doesn't want to get into starters yet. From what I've gathered, I haven't heard nothing yet. So he just wants to keep it, kind of like a tactic is what I would say, Doug. Like a tactic to not give our starters away. Some obviously are a little bit more, obvious than others. But, quick stat dive. Let's get into a quick stat dive, if you guys don't mind. Our offense jumped big last year. And with Declan Doyle as OC scheming, I mean, do you think it could jump that big this year? And do we expect more motion play action? Doug, on Caleb Williams' hype since USC sets Bears rookie record 3,541. That's right, rookie record, man. That's pretty impressive. Bears have been around a long time. 20 touchdowns, low turnovers, single-digit interceptions. Year 2, full of off-season better line. What's your own take on his growth? How can a vet like you advise a young QB stepping into this firepower? What's something that you could, if Caleb's listening, and I'm pretty sure he is, because all the smart people are watching this show right now because Doug's on. What's one thing that you could tell Caleb, and what do you expect from him this year, brother?
You know what? I really think, that we all make mistakes. And of course, that quarterback position, having been a quarterback in high school, there's more pressure on you. There's more expectation of you coming in and getting the team on track, winning, scoring touchdowns, all those sort of things.
Yeah.
That's a huge responsibility.
Yeah.
And, but now it's not so much, trying to learn the system again. It's about just doing it at a better pace. And, it's hard to change players, right off the bat, and not that there hasn't been an attempt, but you know what? I do believe that, looking at the coaching staff that's now running this organization, they've shown that they can go into a town like Chicago, like Detroit, that's been losing for long periods of time, loyal fans coming to the games, still cheering, still paying for parking, all that sort of thing. They already know the game plan. This is just, the uniforms are just different now.
Right.
They're Chicago Bear uniforms instead of Lions,
yeah.
Detroit Lions uniforms. And they got the same scenario, that this team should be better than it has been in the past.
Sure.
And that's what I'm excited about. I think, the techniques that and here's the other thing. Coaches that lose hire bad assistant coaches. That's the way it is. Here's a winning head coach. He hires the best he can get that they can afford, the best that he can get access to. It's not about just hiring all your friends.
Sure.
If all these guys know each other,
yeah.
Every one of them, they're all hugging each other, the coaches before the meetings and stuff, you're in trouble. Because this is nothing more than a friendship, all this staff. I don't even care if these guys don't know each other. Mike Ditka and Buddy Ryan didn't like each other. They didn't like each other. Yelling and screaming at each other in a meeting room.
Hey, let's talk about Jimmy Mack and Ditka. There's a couple squabbles there too. I like it. I see what you're saying. It makes sense. Yeah.
Instead of and really, these guys would always keep you on the tip of the edge.
Yeah.
If they're on the point of the knife or whatever you want to call it. It's like there was no laughing and, hey, kumbaya, give me a hug. Okay, we'll see you later. None of that crap.
None of that.
This was all about getting the job done.
Yeah.
And when you came off, you were shown respect by the coaching staff, by the players who are on the sidelines. When you come to the sideline and you have a good play and all the other players are just sitting on the bench, there's a problem.
Yeah.
There's a problem. That one guy, they say, he has a unique personality. This is in the past now. On the Chicago Bears team, guys that were like peculiar, let's put it that way, would sit on the edge of the bench and nobody talked to them. They didn't want to be talked to. Don't talk to me. I don't care if you're a coach or a player or whatever. I'm in my own little space here, twilight zone. You know what? That guy needs to be out of town. He doesn't need to be on your team. Anybody that's not willing to participate and be a team member and have a relationship with players next to him, that's the kind of guy you want, because this is a team game. It's not the Lone Ranger. You're not out there by yourself. And
I agree. Hey, I'll tell you what, Doug, that toughness mindset right there that you're speaking of, that is in the Bears DNA, man. Let's zoom in really quick on Colston Loveland's college tape, man. He led Big Ten tight ends in key stats, man. Contested catches are important because catches will be contested.
Yes,
they're not gonna be like, oh, here you go, but with defenses keying in on Moore and Odunze, and somebody asked in the chat, they says, do you think Burden will be wide receiver 3 or Zacchaeus? I think the slot position, wide receiver 3, will be by committee. I think you're going to see a lot of different looks, is what I would have to say right away. I don't know. This is an insider, just a fan. That's my guess. That's my speculation. But do you see him feasting? Do you see Colston Loveland feasting underneath or stretching seams, Dennis? What do you see there with all these wide receivers going around, and now all of a sudden we got a tight end that could be potentially wide open? I mean, really, it's interesting, Dennis. What do you think, bud?
It's about creating mismatches, and that you can't double team everybody, that's for sure. So someone's always going to be one-on-one, and if you can find that right mismatch, just attack.
Yeah, Doug, excellent, amazing, Dennis. Thank you, man. But I want to talk about historical angle from your angle. Okay, historically, this offense reminds you of any Bears past squads or even opponents you faced? How does this team potentially stack up with potential? I'm not saying that we know that they are going to do this, but do you see something here? Is this something where you look at like the Brandon Marshall, Alshon, which is Jeffries, that type, that was a really good team there back in 2012. It's just amazing what that team looked like, even on the defensive side of the ball, plenty on the offense, plenty on the defense. Is there anywhere in particular in Bears history where you've seen this much talent on both sides of the ball?
You know what? It's hard to say, because you could have the greatest players in the world, but if you are putting them into a jail, which is basically what the game plan was for many, many years for the Chicago Bears on offense, they never got a chance. They never got a chance to show their ability, their speed, ability to catch the ball, run, all those sort of things.
Yeah.
I love the motion. The motion, basically, it takes the mask off the defense.
Okay.
You can start seeing what the defensive calls and coverage are going to be. Just running motion, either a short motion or go completely across the formation.
Yeah.
And you can hear them talking. Let me tell you something. If they say something at the first quarter, yell something out, it's one coverage. If it's in the second quarter or the third quarter and you do the same thing and they yell something else, it's a different coverage. So if it was man to begin with, they're probably going to run a zone. It's not that hard. I'm just telling you. They're keeping it simple for all the players that are on the field. They're anticipating some of these guys will get knocked around. They're going to be tired. You know what? You want to make it as easy as possible for those guys who are out there on the field. So, but here's my point. As the game goes on, people get tired. They sometimes don't hear the signal. So not only do you know what the defense is, you already know what the play is. It's going to run against that. It's going to be the best play against that defense.
Like that.
You know what? All you have to do is perform. You're going to get positive yards. You might even get a touchdown. And that's why Buddy Ryan used to always tell us, just shut your mouth. Everybody had to learn the coverages. you weren't. They didn't know anything from us. We were just moving upward, backwards, sideways. Sometimes we ran with the motion, but you know what? They didn't know what we were doing. Other than Mike Singletary yelling and screaming at them, that was the only noise they heard. They didn't go like man coverage zone. No, you didn't hear any of that. And you just heard Mike, yeah. It's like a lawnmower going off. He was ready to go chop somebody up. And it was fun. It was fun playing on defense, being on that team. The offense scored. The defense got turnovers. I mean, what is there not to like about a team like that? So I think these coaches, they're going to give that message to the offensive players, to the defensive players. We're going to score touchdowns. We're going to play defense. And everybody is going to have one heck of a time. We're going to enjoy it on the field and also after the game.
That's awesome. I love that. Here's something else you guys will love. Here's some highlight reels of Caleb, and we're going to break this down with Chase Daniels. Really good. Check him out. You can find him on YouTube, Instagram, X app. He's all over the place. Watch this guy. He's now with ESPN. They just hired him, so you'll see a lot of him on the 4-letter network. But you're going to see him on this little network too. So check it out. Get your popcorn. Let's go.
All right, 2nd and 7. Tight split. What are they blitzing from? Okay, they're not. They give you a lot of different things to play around with. Really like this though. This is sweet. Just a corner route, a go ball, shallow cross, and dagger, or an in route, whatever it is. 1 to 2 to 3, pure progression in rhythm. Right, Caleb. Let's see it. 1 2 3, hitch ball. Boom. Not even need to hitch. It's a nice throw. 10-yard out route. That's trust right there. Because even if this guy were to come off, man, that ball's out. This is a great rep. And I actually like how he threw it. I actually like how he threw it on the inside shoulder, because in my opinion, that's a half field safety. This corner should be squatting right here. I actually love the throw. Everything about this throw. No notes, as they would say. Right? Let's see where his eyes are. Should just be right there. 1 2 3. This is a good 2-minute drive. Perfect throw. No notes. Let's see it from this view. See if we got any notes, right? Understanding. Hey, let's just go this way. Let's work it. 1 2. Boom. Ball gone. Accurate throw. Love that.
I tell you what, after watching that, I had to turn my hat around like Chase Daniels. Maybe I'll be able to do some better tape, better tape recognition there.
Did you guys notice all the linemen when they were throwing the ball? They were all leaning back. Not one of them was leaning forward on his hand. You know why? Because they weren't going to run the ball. They were going to throw the ball.
Wow.
And they had that hand, instead of in front of their body, they had it between their legs. Okay. Right down between their two shoes. What are they going to do? They're going to back up. They're not leaning forward. Wow. I mean, you don't even need to know whether it's a run or a pass. And
Doug, I will tell you this. It's good to know that everyone on the offensive line knew their assignment, and they all knew that they were blocking to pass. For us, that is a giant step in the right direction, Doug.
But you know what? And like I said, why not run motion? I guarantee you the least productive offenses in the league, when you start talking about motion and formations and running a variety of plays, they don't do that. You know what they do? Walter Payton right, Walter Payton left. Now we're going to run a draw play for Walter Payton. Yeah. That's all it was when I was there.
Yeah. Right.
It was just as great as Walter was. They knew exactly what we were going to do half the time.
And was always down. The knuckles were always white. I'm staying home. All right. Let's check out this one. Here's another one. This one's a little bit longer, but again, you'll like this. Get your popcorn. Check it out. Let us know what you see, Doug.
Here we go. Play 21 from the game. Oh, no. What happened? A wasted play. Let's not do that. A lot to unpack here. Number one. Okay, it doesn't look like it's cover 0 because I think this free safety is there. It does look like pressure. All right, and this is a scat. It's called 3 scat, meaning the back is going to the left. Left is odd. So DeAndre Swift's going to move there. Here's what I want you to see. the left tackle right here has squeeze rules if the Mike ID, meaning which way the line is sliding, is to the right. It looks like the line is sliding to the right. So Braxton Jones, the left tackle right here, needs to have his eye on 54. As soon as 54 blitzes, he needs to squeeze down. Oh no, he didn't. All right. So now we got to throw hot. All right. Can't throw hot because the defensive end is in the way. Oh my gosh, what are we doing? Now we're screwed. Now it's a big throwaway. I want you to look at somebody, though. I want you to look right in the middle of the field when Caleb's throwing away on his life. It takes all 10 other guys to be successful as an NFL quarterback, because if we get that right and we get that protection right, this dude is wide open for a freaking touchdown. Let's watch it from this view. So guard, center, tackle are all going right. Here's what I would prefer. I would prefer Caleb Williams to come up here and fix it. I would say, hey, Mike 32, meaning center, go to 32, guard here, tackle here. They have sort rules. Now, we're getting a little bit granular, but this sort rule meaning, hey, these 3 offensive linemen have the most dangerous 3 defenders. Does that make sense? So these 3 offensive linemen are playing. The most dangerous 3 defenders to the left side of the center are 69, 54, and the defensive end. We should have this protected. All right. I know he's messed up. His eyes should start in. His eyes do not. They start outside. But we should have this protected, and we should have a walk-in touchdown right there.
Wow, Doug, what do you got to say about that one, man?
You know what? That was instructions that were never being heard in the city for a long time. And it's I don't want to say it's that simple. It is that simple. And let's say you have gotten something else. Maybe there wasn't a blitz on a defense. Then that basically that's okay. If he's not blitzing, that will allow you more time because you won't have the pressure. But you have to expect the unexpected every single play. And the worst thing that they can do to you, the defense, you have to anticipate that. And you have to put people aware. I mean, obviously, there was either a mental breakdown or it was something that was wrong by the coaching staff in terms of telling that defense or line offensive back who to block. I mean, that was not good protection there for the quarterback.
No.
You know, who wants to get hit?
Yeah.
I'll never forget, the
preseason game
3 years ago, about, how many times he got sacked 8 times his first game in Soldier Field.
Yeah.
That's an offensive line that didn't know what they were doing.
Right.
Your quarterback, especially an athletic quarterback, you're not going to get sacked 8 times in a game unless people aren't blocking defenders. And that's exactly what was happening. Right.
Here's another. We'll watch this before we watch the good play. Okay, there was good here, by the way. There was good here, but this is something that Ben has to say about the play of the offensive line and the quarterback. Again, let's check this out.
Held the ball for it was like 5 seconds, I think.
Sounds like good protection.
And took a sack.
See. Last week was a really good start for us. This week it wasn't quite the same. It didn't feel like. So once again, we'll take a look at that and we'll see what we need to address with it.
Yeah, right out the gate, he said he held onto the ball for 5 seconds, and he cut him off by saying that sounds like good protection. So he's putting it right on. The blame goes to right where it's supposed to go to. It's supposed to go to Caleb. Do something with the ball. Okay, yeah. So I love how he did that. There's no sugarcoating it. There's no, coddling. There's none of that. Straightforward. Let's get to it. Let's figure this thing out. I love it. I mean, let's not sugarcoat it. I think that's very important. Now let's watch the good play. Let's watch the good play.
Williams underneath, and it is caught for a touchdown by Odunze. He cashes in to close the drive. And a well-executed 2-minute drill for Chicago and Caleb Williams. Good anticipation, pulled the trigger, and you saw Caleb. He was ready to throw that ball.
That was a good play.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what? And a lot of that stuff too, you know, you can call play in the huddle, but if something happens out there during the game that is radically different than what you anticipate, you have to react to the situation. In other words, I just saw the offense in some of those situations. Those guys are running pass routes. Well, if your route is to run down the field 10 yards and turn around and expect a ball, and the defender is right there on top of you, you got to do something about it. You can't stand there and say, oh, you got me. Well, you know, now he eliminates himself as a potential receiver. He has to have an alternative route. If they are jumping that route that you're on, you have to think, you know what? You need to go deeper. You need to run across the field. One thing is for sure, you can't stand in one spot. You know, you're helping the defender. You know, the quarterback, if he's going to try to throw it to you, it's probably going to get intercepted or an incomplete pass. And, you know, so there's just, football is a unique sport where you have to, many times, even as a free safety, you have to basically make changes as you're reading what's going on. You know, how deep is the quarterback dropping? How fast are these receivers coming downfield? All those sort of things make a big difference. So you basically, even though you are called a certain defense, you know, you have to adapt. What are you seeing in front of you? You know, you can't go back, you know, 50 yards deep in the middle when you see it just a short routes. I mean, why would you do that? You're reacting to what's happening. And I just don't think a lot of that was happening in the prior administration.
Yep. That's 100% accurate, man. And you know what? Fans are eating this up. Matter of fact, I've got a question for you. One last question, and then we will take off because we got to get going. Son wants to do a little night fishing. So here we go, man. We have a question from Bears Die Hard on X app, also known as Twitter. Can Loveland hit 800 yards as a rookie? What's your over and under for a guy with that skill set as a tight end? You think that's a little lofty as far as the yards go, Doug, or is that possible?
You know what? It is possible. You know, it's all based on what the team does as a whole. You know, if obviously they're getting behind in games, you know, you're going to need to start throwing the ball, trying to catch up. You know, so it's all a matter of, you know, sometimes when you get the lead, teams just run the clock out, you know, by getting first downs. How do you get first downs? Throw short passes and run the ball.
Yep.
So it all depends on, you know, where you are in the game at the end. You know, if you're in a position to win it and just run the clock out, then you're probably not going to be piling up a bunch of stats. On the other hand, if you're hopelessly behind, you're going to be trying to throw the ball down the field, you know, recklessly sometimes, even on throws that you maybe shouldn't make, or you're just in positions the defense knows exactly what you're going to do, that you're not going to run the ball. You're going to try to throw the ball down the field. So, you know, a lot of this depends on what the current circumstances are in the game. But like I said, I think why not use the entire arsenal that you have?
Sure.
I mean, we had times last year where we didn't even throw the tight end.
Absolutely. I agree. It was so frustrating. It was
Spread the ball out. Spread the ball out. Make it so they have no idea. And you know, the other thing too is don't continue to keep running the same plays out of the same formation. That's how you get turnover. That's how you turn the ball over to the defense. They're not dumb. They know what you're going to do on a certain down distance position on the field. You're going to run a certain play if the personnel is in the game, and change it up every week. Make sure whatever situation you're in, make sure it's a different call.
Doug, I'm glad that you say that because we can change it up. I mean, we could change it up all kinds with all these different players. And I will say this. It is refreshing to know that next year we may or may not even need or look at drafting high or even in the mid rounds for an offensive weapon. I mean, really, this is a master class. I mean, we've got all kinds of weapons, man, and kind of, you know, bringing us to a point of another fan that has a question, Windy City QB. Is this the best Bears offense that you have ever seen, Doug? Is this possibly the best Bears offense that you've ever seen?
You know what? It could be. I don't think we've seen them. I don't think everybody on the team still doesn't believe 100% on what everything's going. It just doesn't seem to be like that. When you are having success and you're winning games, I mean, guys are celebrating the whole game. They're in huddles, offense, defense, shaking hands, high fiving each other. They're having a good time. They're enjoying it. They're giving 100% every time. They run on the field. They run off the field. I mean, that's what you want to see happen. And, you know, it hasn't happened yet. Could it happen at any time? Yeah, it sure could. You know, it's one of those games that they're expecting to have a tough game or maybe even lose, and they come out and they play great and just overpower the other teams and be in a situation where, man, I'll tell you what, they start feeling good about themselves. Now they trust the coaches 100%. Whatever they tell you, you're going to do it to the best of your ability.
And I'll tell you what, Doug, you stole the show right there, man. That was awesome. Bears Nation, thank you so much. Wrapping this up, this 2025 offense, Loveland as X Factor, wide receivers torching, Caleb's ascending, his ceiling. Wow. I call it right now 11-6 NFC North champs, deep playoff run, baby. That's what I'm calling it right now. I'm so fired up. And that is the end of our hype session with star Doug Plank. Drop your comments. Loveland Breakout, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell for more content coming. I'll tell you what, guys, make sure that you hit that like, subscribe button and share this video to win a jersey of your choice. We have got over 900 new subscribers in the last 28 days. That's almost 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. Thank you, Bears Nation, for joining us. This is so awesome. So great for you guys to be a part of this growing, thriving community. We love it. This is a show created from a fan to fans. I love to bring these amazing legends in the building. We love to keep them at the forefront of our minds. We have to let them know, in order to restore the Bears way, we need to keep guys in the building like Mr. Doug Plank. Doug Plank, always an honor. Thank you so much for being here, man. And I'll tell you what, such a epic show with you in the studio today. Sure. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. I promise it's going to get better. It's going to get better.
Yeah, it sure is, man. I'm excited, man. I'm excited that you're excited, because honestly, there were some times I had Doug in my car and I was like, oh, this is not good. This is not good. When Doug is disappointed and nervous, what does that put us, gentlemen? So, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. Have a great night, and Chi-Town up, bear down. See you guys.